Hello crafters, Janine here, and today I'm going to be showing you this month's June Darby Smart project. Was a polymer clay project, which I've never worked with polymer clay before, so I was really excited about this. I mean, this was a completely new to me craft. I've seen polymer clay around forever and I've always been interested in it, just never had the courage to go out and spend the money and invest in the products to make it. And these are the projects that I made with this month's box. This isn't exactly what their instructions said to do with the clay, but this is what I did with it, and I think it came out really stinking cute. So if you'd like to see how I made these, stay tuned. Okay, the items that came in this month's box were 4 bars of polymer clay in 3 different colors: white, black, and kind of a speckled gray color, some soy wax to make the candles with, and some fragrance to make the candles with, and then the pieces and parts necessary for making tea light candles, the little tins, and the little wicks. Okay, the directions say to use 1 whole pack of the white clay, a half a pack of the gray speckled clay, and a half a pack of the black clay, and that need to take each one of these blocks and roll it into a rope about 5 inches long. Now, I brought a ruler with me just to kind of keep track, and that's actually a little bit too long, so I'm just going to bunch it up. That's 5.5. That's close enough. Directions say to take the clay and twist it together to make it kind of like a candy cane, give it a candy cane sort of appearance. And then it says to smoosh it together into a great big ball, and all 3 colors should be visible on the surface of the ball. And it says with a rolling pin or a glass bottle, and I have my brayer here with me, and I'm not sure if that's going to work or not, but that's what I'm going to try it first. But it says with a rolling pin or glass bottle, roll out the marbled ball, and the colors should blend together and create a marble pattern as you roll over it. Try rolling in different directions from the edge, from the center, etc., to push the clay in different angles. So I'm going to get a little smush down first to get us started. Okay, I don't think you want to roll this out too thin, so I'm going to leave it like so, and that's about as marbly looking as I've been able to get it. Their example on the website looks a little bit better than mine, but that's okay. Now, the way their directions called for you to do is to just then take this and mount it back up into a big blob and press this in the center to make the indentation for it. I just didn't really particularly care for that design, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to use the little candle cup that came with it, and just press it into an area of the, and be careful because this thing is really thin, it bends easy, but I'm just gonna use it kind of like a cookie cutter. And gently take that out and use that as a base. I try and make sure it's kind of even. Don't want one side to be a lot thicker than the other. So that should fit the bottom perfectly. Now, I'm going to take my knife and just cut off a little section. And I'm just going to ball it up and kind of roll it out into what I think they refer to as a cane, until it's big enough to go all the way around. And my understanding is polymer clay will stick to itself when baked, so I'm just going to trim it. Remove the little tail pieces, and it should fit together just about perfectly. Okay, and I'm going to repeat that process until I've got enough of these little rolls of cane to come all the way up to the top of the cup. Okay, I'm going to roll out another piece of, or I'm going to cut off another, but a little bit larger piece this time. I'm going to take these little leftover scraps here, and I'm just going to kind of press everything together. And roll it smooth and as even as possible, because I want it to be fairly even in thickness all the way through this rope. But I do want to leave it kind of thick like that. And one of the things that they said to do before cutting any of the pieces that you were going to cut on was to freeze it for 15 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go stick this in the freezer for 15 minutes, and I think that's going to help me to make much cleaner cuts into this piece, into this rope. Alright, this has been in the freezer for about 15 minutes now, and it is much stiffer, so I can see where that's going to be a lot easier to cut. And now what I'm going to do with my little round slices, hopefully these will stick. And I'm going to do them all the way around the top. Alright, now I've got all of my little polymer clay circles placed along the top edge, and now I just want to make sure that this cup will still be able to get in and out with me handling it so much. I'm afraid I pressed it in and maybe tightened my circle up a little bit. And I think it's going to work out just fine. So that one's ready to go, so I'm going to place it on the sheet that I'm going to be baking it on. And I'm going to repeat this exact same process for the second little tea light candle, but I think I'm going to do something, because I think I'm going to have more than enough polymer clay to do a couple of more of these. The way that the design that they had for completing this project would have only made 2 tea light candles, but I think because what I'm doing is using so little clay, I think I'm going to be able to actually get 3 or 4 candle holders out of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the second one just like this one, and I'll be back. I was sitting here playing with this clay a little bit, trying to figure out what I was going to do with the other ones, and I started rolling it into balls and realized that that would make some really cute little feet to go on the ones that I already made. So I'm just picked out 4 of the little balls that I rolled that were fairly even in size, and I'm just going to stick them on there and try and make them as equal of a distance from each other as possible. Okay, I do believe that is it for these, and I'm gonna move on to the next ones. Okay, this is what I came up with for my next design. It's a flower of sorts. I really wouldn't know exactly what sort of flower to call it. Oops, one of my leaves just came off. I just started messing with the clay, and the things that were occurring to me weren't really working out the way I'd envisioned them. So I just kept playing around with it, and the next thing you know, I had some petals going, and I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's see if we can't make a flower. It's kind of looking maybe like a desert cactus to me at the moment, but kind of give you an all-around view. Okay, basically I did the same thing that I did in the beginning of the video, mixing the clays together to get that marbled effect. And then once I had a sheet rolled out, I just cut it in half, and then I just took the half and balled it up. As so. And just pressed it out, doing my best to maintain somewhat of an even circle. It's easier said than done, so it's not going to be perfect or perfectly symmetrical, but just do your best to press it out into a circle. You use your brayer to kind of even things out, or a rolling pin, or whatever you have on hand, a glass bottle. Next thing I did was place my tea light candle cup as close to the center as I could. I could mess with this forever and never get it perfectly in the center. Okay, and then I just took my knife, and leaving about a ½ inch between the tip of my knife and my cup, I just cut 4 fairly equal sections. Again, it's not going to be perfect. Okay, and then I cut a triangle out of each of those sections, and save these triangles. We're going to be using them. This will also help get your sections a little more even if they're kind of wonky-do like mine are. Remember, this is art. It's not supposed to be perfect. Okay. Next thing I did was to form these petals. I brought the base in because they weren't, if I just tried to pull them up like that and do that, they kept wanting to flop over. So I pulled it in at the base and kind of pressed it at the base so that it would stay put, and then kind of ruffled, kind of pressed out, thinned out the edge a little bit, and then just ruffled it to resemble the shape of a petal. And I tucked those corners in to round them up a little bit. And you can see a flower shape starting to happen. Okay. Then I took these little triangles that I cut out, just kind of press that center section back together a little bit, and then lifted this and stuck them underneath to be the leaves. And I had to keep kind of pressing everything up so it wasn't laying down too much. Alright, that right there by itself is pretty cute. But I decided to keep going and make more leaves. So with my scrap clay that was left over from my last set of candle holders, I just cut some more triangles out and just flattened out the ends of them, kind of rolled them over, make it a little bit thicker. Basically just made some more petals like that. I gotta take my cup out for the rest of this, and then I put these in between the other petals that I made, and again just kind of ruffle them. Okay, everything's still fitting pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and add one more layer of petals. And these are going to be tiny, so you don't need to use very big pieces of clay. See, every layer that we go in, we're getting a little bit smaller. And again, we're just placing them in between the ones that we've already placed. Fits in the center, and I give it a good press all the way around to make sure that this is going to sit fairly level at the center of our little marble flower. Okay, I have now gotten all my pieces ready for the oven. This was the hardest part, was lifting this off and keeping everything kind of in the, the shape from distorting as I transferred it. But I went ahead and prepared a little baking pan, and I lined it with tin foil, and I just placed my pieces in it. The directions say to put them in a preheated oven at 275 and bake for 15 minutes, but just to make sure that they weren't burning, to check on them at about 10 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead, I've already got my oven preheated. I'm going to go ahead and put these in and bake them for 10 to 15 minutes. And once they've cooled off completely where I can handle them, I'll come back and show you what they look like all baked. Okay, went ahead and got started on my candle base. I went ahead and melted the soy wax in the microwave in a microwave safe dish for about a minute. It only took 1 minute to get it good and melty. And the instructions say to dip your candle base or your wick bases in your wax and then place them in the center of the little tins. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding a few drops of the fragrance that came with it, and it's a really nice floral scent. It smells really good and fresh and floral. That was probably actually a lot. I probably just put in about 1/4 of the bottle. But I like for my candles to put off a lot of fragrance. That smells really good. Guys, I never know when to stop. I'm actually just going to go ahead and put a little more in. So I probably just used about 1/3 of that little fragrance bottle, but I'm okay with that. Alrighty, everything has set up, and for the most part I think these came out beautiful. I would have never guessed in a million years that I could work with polymer clay and get something out of it that looked somewhat like a flower. So I'm pretty surprised with myself in this project. I think they came out pretty good, considering this was the first time I've ever touched polymer clay. Go ahead and take that out. This one came out pretty good, but its twin did not survive as well. This was the second one I made, and I think I made it a little bit more generous around, whereas this one, a couple of the rings came off, and then all of the little circles came off. I've got those glued back on with some craft glue. One of the little feet came off. I had to glue it back on. So this one was the only dud in the bunch. It just kind of started falling apart, but I was able to salvage it enough to still be usable, and it's still kind of cute. That glue's still setting up. If I can show you this one a little better. So the little feet, the sides. It's not too bad. So for this Darby Smart project, I tell you what, this was a home run for me. Considering that I've never worked with polymer clay, this was fun. It was an inexpensive way for me to try it. So for value, and I went and I looked up all the different components and their individual cost, and this definitely came up to the cost of the box. So for value, it got a 5. For ease of use, I gave it a 5 because we weren't making anything. Now, I mean, I did get more intricate with mine, but the directions that they called for the item that they showed to make, which was this, you know, just very large, just one big piece with an indentation in the middle and then some little straight edges cut off from it. So to complete their project the way they had it outlined in the directions, it was very easy. It wasn't overly complicated or difficult, so ease of use was a 5. Instructions was a 5. I felt like they were detailed, they were spot on to complete this project. If you did exactly what they told you to do, you would end up with this really cute little votive holder. And finished product, I think, is a 5. Considering I've never worked with polymer clay, I felt like it was pretty easy. Oh, and I forgot to mention all these little balls you see. This is what because I'm a very frugal crafter. I believe in getting my money's worth out of everything. So this is what I did with the leftover clay. I just went ahead and rolled it into balls, and then I took a tapestry needle and poked a hole through each one and just kind of wiggled it around to hollow it out a little bit. So one of these days I'll pick up a length of some black or white silk cording and string these beads on it and have a nice little necklace. So anyway, this was a home run. Overall score of a 5. Darby Smart, you did great. I love it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.